What y'all listening to?
Limelight Highlight Podcast.
Welcome back to the Limelight Highlight, your silver lining space to take a break from the stressful everyday. As always, I'm your host, Jay Rose, and this podcast, time and time again, is all about the positive and the positive things that are going on in the world, whether they be events, news, acts of kindness, or simple listeners sharing something positive they witnessed or were part of. So if you're wondering what this episode is about, stick around because, as always, we're going to start the episode with some upcoming events. So October is basically here, and depending on when you're listening to this, that means the Block Gives Back is having their 4th annual Beer, Birds in the Block event. You're probably wondering what that is if you haven't heard about it before. This is a tailgate taking place October 6th, right around the corner, where the Philadelphia Eagles, the greatest team in the world, will be taking on the New York Jets. As with every Block event, there is a purpose, and the purpose of this tailgate, besides, having fun with, as I said before, the greatest fans on the planet, is to raise funds so the Block can continue their efforts to helping those who need the most with their year-round events. A few insights on what your $30 ticket gets you at this tailgate is there's going to be a DJ playing some of the dopest music, plenty of food, delicious beverages, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, to wash it down with, and there'll be drinking games. And if you purchased a raffle ticket, you'll get a chance to win Eagles versus Giants tickets for a future Monday Night Football game. So you can find all the ticket information on the show notes, or just check out the Block Gives Back's website, which will also be in the show notes. If you have any questions or concerns, be sure to reach out to them. And if you're not able to make it, buy a pay it forward ticket. I know I did. It's only $30. It'll ease your conscience, and your dollars are going to a good cause. $30 donation to Venmo, Cash App, or Eventbrite, and you get to experience all of this. And the best part is you can do it guilt-free, knowing your dollar is going to help out a good cause. Lastly, if you got to listen to the previous podcast, you heard about the food drive my friend Luis is getting together with. November 2nd, he'll be picking up all the food that's getting donated so he can get everything ready to give out. So if you're interested, make sure to follow his page and contact him via Instagram or Facebook to see how you can help, whether it be with a donation or even help out handling the food and giving out the food bags. I'll be sure to get more information in the upcoming weeks to give out to you guys as well, so you can help make a difference. Now on to the show. Now, as I said on the intro of the podcast, as many of you can tell by now, this podcast is all about positivity. So today's story isn't necessarily about someone doing something positive or an act of kindness per se, but more on the science of positivity itself. I actually came across this article from goodnewsnetwork.org, where I usually get most of my good news articles from, no pun intended. And it's all about how the University of California in Los Angeles, also known as UCLA, has announced that they'll be launching the world's first research institute on kindness. I'm not joking, and as cliche and utopian of an idea this might be, it got me thinking. This can really help people and make a serious impact on the world. The university actually got a whopping $20 million gift from the Badari Foundation. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Badari Foundation, it is a private family foundation founded on the core belief that the more deeply people connect with themselves, their community, and with nature, the more humanity as a whole benefits. Pretty legit, right? Pretty legit commitment. So they are also committed to creating positive impact at a scale through dedicating their experience and resources to enabling significant cultural shifts in the fields of health and wellness, community, aid displacement, and environmental conservation. This is all according to their website, thebadarifoundation.org. So the mission statement is pretty legit, and a huge way to make a change that big is to have some money to back up what it is you're trying to change, right? So the $20 million they gave UCLA created the Badari Kindness Institute that will be supporting world-class research into real-world practices. Something we can all learn a thing or two from. and work on. So if you're wondering, the school subject falls into would be, every school has a subject or class. Well, this would fall into the division of social sciences. I didn't go to college, so I hope that those listening that are in school understand how impactful this can be and also understand the whole subject-based stuff that's going on. So this new Kindness Institute is hoping to use the research it gathers to empower citizens and inspire leaders to build more humane societies. Now, if there's one thing we need, especially today, it's more competent and positively impactful leaders. In this article, they quote the UCLA chancellor, Jean Block, and she says, the universities, or he, I'm not sure if it's a man or woman, but, quote, universities should always be places where we teach students to reach across lines of difference and treat one another with empathy and respect, even when we deeply disagree. Now, end quote. I cannot agree with her more. This is something that is majorly lacking in today's learning environments, according to the news, and you hear all the stuff on the internet and news and stuff. So today we have this PC culture, or political correctness culture, where you gotta tiptoe and walk around what you say so you don't hurt somebody's feelings. Nobody wants their feelings hurt, but most of the time people aren't doing it intentionally, and it's kind of getting out of hand. Along with these safe spaces where people can't even have a healthy debate on a topic without getting their emotions and feelings involved, which in turn causes a ton of people to pick a side in this tribal mindset mentality, outlashing at other people who don't agree with them and causing all types of violence. It's one thing to disagree. It's a whole other thing to disagree so much that you feel you need to express yourself with violence and strike someone. We as a society get absolutely nowhere when our only argument against an idea that we don't like is exchanging insults instead of having a constructive conversation, trying to understand another person's reasoning as to why they believe what they believe, which is why I really like this move UCLA is doing with this Kindness Foundation or Institute. Getting back to the basics of our teachings and understandings of communication. I'm not sure how everybody listening right now was raised, but I hope we all had a very similar understanding when we were growing up on how to act and talk to other people like strangers. Like simple skills is treating others the way you want to be treated, or treat others with respect, or don't insult or name call, especially a stranger for no reason. Be kind to one another. All of those simple things you teach a child who's learning how to speak or learning to be in a social environment. These are real simple cues that we kind of strayed from. We come into an age where we can communicate with literally anyone in the world at any time, and we don't even follow those basic skills we grew up on. I look online in the comments all the time just to see what people think of a certain video or something I watched. And the amount of people just being straight disrespectful to each other is just outstanding. Just everyone is so combative. You would never, like things you would never say to a stranger about any topic in real life the way you would on the internet. It's crazy. I mean, I'm guilty of doing it myself from time to time, but lately I've been catching myself. When I'm looking at something kind of triggers me. Yeah, I get triggered too. Everybody gets triggered. We have our triggers, but I find myself sometimes typing something out and then realizing, like, what am I doing? I just got to let it go, because this is just a ridiculous way of communicating. It's not effective, and at the end of the day, you're never going to change that person's mind or the way they think on whatever it is you started the conversation or argument with in the first place. So back to this article and back to this institute, the Kindness Institute. They are beginning to operate immediately, trying to understand kindness through evolutionary, biological, psychological, economic, cultural, and sociological perspectives. So pretty much every aspect of life. The research will focus on actions, thoughts, feelings, and social institutions associated with kindness, and bring together researchers from across a number of different disciplines at UCLA. They already have a range of researchers studying the types of questions that will be the basis of the Institute's work. So let's go, for example. You ever heard that a smile is contagious, or you ever thought why? Like, why is it when somebody smiles at me, you kind of just want to smile back? You know, you don't want to be a douchebag, but like when I smile, like a genuine smile at someone, more times than not, they'll have a genuine smile to give back. Or when they say, if you smile, it'll literally change your mood. Even if you're upset, just force yourself to smile and you'll feel a little better. So things like that. I never thought why those things work, but UCLA already has anthropologists examining how kindness spreads from one person to another person and a group to other groups. They have sociologists analyzing how people who regularly act unkind might be encouraged to engage in kind acts instead. They have other researchers looking into changes in neurobiology and behaviors resulting from mindfulness and how those changes can influence kindness in people's mental, physical, and social well-being. So the Kindness Institute is also going to provide mindfulness awareness training to students, faculty, and staff, and in underserved LA communities. They plan on hosting annual conferences where presenters will examine new discoveries in kindness research along with other activities. And the article didn't have much going on besides this concept that they're putting into place with studying kindness. You know, it's something that seriously got my attention because, as I said, they're trying to figure out how to encourage people to engage in acts of kindness rather than always be combative. And it's crazy that we need some type of training now, you know, to be more mindful. And just, it's something so simple that is lacking immensely in our society. I've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years on and off now, and with very little research that I do on positive stories that I share. One thing a lot of these stories have in common is the fact that a single person or small group of people start to do something positive and it catches on like a wildfire, like a contagious disease. More and more people want to follow or help with whatever positive thing is going around. They want to be a part of it. And we now have internet challenges of positivity or acts of kindness spreading, and it's just getting so much attention. I don't know if that's because our world is so screwed up with negative news that we want to grab at anything that's remotely positive and add to it, because deep down, no matter how animalistic we are as a human species, that we become or act, you know, at the end of the day, we really gravitate towards positive things. You know, whatever the answer is, I'm sure this new Kindness Institute at UCLA can find it, or at least give us some type of perspective or something to go off of on understanding why this happens. And if we can find a reason on why, we can find ways to harness the why and possibly make positive and good habits out of it by teaching others to be better, you know, back to the basics. Or I might just have a crazy imagination and it won't work, but we got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And it's funny because my mom actually sent me an article that goes really well with this kind of story. You know, the article is titled 15 Things You Can Do to Start Helping Our Planet Right Now. I won't go into all 15, but just to mention my top 3 favorite ones. And number 1 being a company called Parley for the Oceans that Adidas actually teamed up with, and they make sneakers completely out of trash they pull out of the oceans. And they actually look pretty good. They don't look like trash sneakers, even though they're literal trash sneakers. 2, there's a startup company named I'm sorry. Let me start over. There's a startup company in Bali, Indonesia, and they're aiming to replace plastic with fully compostable plant-based material, something I'm sure we can all get on board with. And finally, number 3, Nebia is a brand new shower head that atomizes water streams into millions of droplets, which create the impression of a waterfall vapor shower. And what I love about this shower is it saves up to 70% of water wasted compared to a regular shower head. So those are my top 3 favorite things to help the planet and helping ourselves. I'll share the link where you